This week's Four Questions Journalist Spotlight is brought to you by Leff's Atlanta Media, Atlanta's best journalist database. Subscribe at leffsatlantamedia.com.
Welcome to another Four Questions Journalist Spotlight. We are talking today with Chenue Her with WXIA 11Alive.
Hey.
Good evening. How are you today?
Good. I'm just glad to be here. Sorry it took a little bit for us to do this, but I'm excited to do it. So,
Well, yeah, there's been some news and things going on, so that kind of takes up a little bit of time on occasion. So, I wanted to catch up with you a while. So I'm glad we're able to do it.
Yeah.
And let's jump right in. So, let's start with a little bit of background. Talk to me about, how, I know everybody in TV's usually Atlanta's not their first job. So talk to me about your career and the trail that brought you here.
Yeah. So I've been all over the place. I'm originally from Minneapolis, born and raised, went to college in the Twin Cities. And my first job when I graduated, so I actually interned at a couple of different stations. But my first job as a full-time reporter right out of school was in Eugene, Oregon. So I moved out west for about 2.5 years. I was not a huge fan of Eugene, Oregon, so I could not wait to get out. So I went as far away as I could. I went all the way to Virginia Beach market. So I was there for 4 years, and then I came to Atlanta. So nothing against Eugene. I mean, I love Eugene. It's near and dear to my heart, but it was just the weather. It's just always raining, and so I just wanted to get out of there. So I went to Virginia.
Well, it's a little bit different from Minnesota. I mean, I was there for a extended canoe trip a couple of years ago. But I was there in the summer. I was not there.
Yeah.
I was not there when the lakes were frozen over.
Yeah.
They were nice and a nice cool 50 degrees or something like
Right.
that. Yeah. So you've been here. Let's see, how long has it been? A year or two? How long?
Yeah. So it's been a little over a year, going on a year and a half soon, actually.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah, loved it.
All right. So, and we were talking off camera before about your schedule. So let's tell everybody kind of when do you work, what days, and kind of which shifts do you usually work?
Yeah. So my schedule is a little bizarre, but I work the night shift Saturday, Sunday, and then I work the day shift Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So my off days are Thursday, Fridays. Those are technically my weekends.
Okay. And how does that work for you? Having the weekend different from everybody else's weekend?
It's I think early on in my career, I had off days like that, and it was a little weird for me to adjust. But I mean, I've done it enough in my career where you kind of just find a way to make it work, and you kind of develop your own routine. Thursday, Fridays are so good days to have off because you start Friday off. So I don't mind it. I mean, I think once you develop your routine, it just kind of becomes your own normal. So
well, and your night side on Saturday, so it's not like you have to be in at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you can go out Friday and have a good time, and you don't have to be into work till 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can during a pandemic. So
oh yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that pandemic thing. Forgot about that.
Yeah, right.
You're not bar hopping in Buckhead right now. Huh?
No.
There's no more bars in Buckhead anyway, so you can't do that, right? So I know somewhat your general assignment, but are there particular stories that you like to cover, or that is a beat, or you kind of just wherever the day takes you?
Yeah. I'm a general assignment. So kind of just like news of the day, is what I've been doing here since I've been here. But I think for early on in my career, I did not like covering anything related to politics. It was just I just didn't like it. I wasn't interested in it. And I do think a big part of what makes, a journalist, whether you're in print or TV, I think a big part of what makes a journalist a good journalist is if they are passionate about what they report about and what they cover. But I think now in my career, I think I've really gravitated a lot towards covering politics at all levels. I did that a lot in Virginia. I covered a lot of state and local politics, and then also I like covering stories that I'm very passionate about covering stories that impact the Asian American communities, because I think I think we haven't really gotten the representation that we've needed in communities where we live. And so that's something that I'm also very passionate about.
Yeah, I was watching a great Atlanta Press Club panel last week.
Yeah.
I was Sophia Choi from Channel 2 was on there, but and it was a great conversation about what's happening and what's not happening, and how the Asian community is being treated. And of course, we probably saw that story out of New York just this week.
Yeah.
Horrible story, where not just horrible because a 65-year-old woman was attacked on the street, but because 2 or 3 people sat there and watched it and did nothing, and you just kind of look at that and go, so what kind of people are sitting there just watching that and not coming to that woman's assistance even after the guy ran away? I mean that was just crazy. I mean, Atlanta's always had some representation on most of the TV stations from the Asian journalist community. Do you feel like there should be more? Are we where we need to be, or you always kind of that we should have more representation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should always have more representation. I mean, I look at, I think one thing that I was very excited about when I came to this market was the fact that there is a chapter of the Asian American Journalists Association here.
Right.
And so I remember when I went to the first meeting with them, I was like, wow, there are more Asian journalists in this market than any market that I've worked in. So I was excited to see that. I mean, I think for me, that was a very encouraging sign. There is a good sized Asian American population here. And so I think seeing that at other stations and at the paper and even the other outlets in town, knowing that they have the representation is great. And, especially covering the spa shooting, you really see how many Asian journalists are out there in our community. That was a very encouraging time for me. Do I think we need more? I think so. I mean, I think, one, there are so many media outlets in Atlanta because it's such a big metro area. But I also think that every outlet needs more than just 1 or 2 Asian American journalists in that organization. So,
well, it's interesting. I know sometimes I use the royal we struggle with. Do we send an Asian reporter to cover a story that's an Asian focused story just because they're an Asian journalist? The same way you would look at a story and say, do I send a black reporter to cover a story about social justice marches? But you wouldn't have that conversation when you said, okay, we're gonna. So do we send a white reporter to cover the Georgia legislature because they're all white men or something?
Yeah.
That kind of conversation, right?
Yeah. And it was interesting because that's a question that being a reporter from a minority background, I think those sorts of questions are raised. I mean, I've heard those questions raised throughout my career, and I think Natasha Chen from CNN made a really good point during the Atlanta Press Club panel when she asked, if that question is going to be raised, then what is the default? What is deemed unbiased as far as a reporter's background and the stories that they're covering? So I thought that was a good point that she brought up. Well,
and to me, if you have a diverse background of reporters in your newsroom, that should add to it.
Yeah.
You have a reporter who speaks the language of the community that's being affected. To me, that can only help because you can communicate better, whether it's Asian or Latino or Indian or whatever the population is. And not just knowing the language, but knowing the culture. Because I know.
Yeah. I mean, that was such a big thing. In covering basically any story that I've covered with the Asian community is that I think understanding the culture and the context and the background of the community is really important because you understand why certain people from certain backgrounds react the way that they do or how they handle certain situations. So it can only strengthen your newsroom, and it can only strengthen your ability as a reporter.
Yeah, I know there were some some conversations in some newsrooms. I don't think it was yours, but about saying the names and being able to pronounce the names of the victims correctly. And my philosophy is always, you don't not say someone's name because it's hard to say. You figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
You put in the effort and the work to make sure you do it the same way you can say any other name. I saw a reporter the other day. She was reporting about a She was reporting about a volcano erupting in Iceland or something.
Yeah.
And she said the name of the long Nordic name of this volcano.
Yeah.
And she had obviously practiced it a couple of times so she could get it right.
Yeah.
But it was some 20-syllable volcano name, right?
Yeah.
But I looked at it, it's like, okay, she didn't just see that on the teleprompter and roll it off the tongue. She saw that and thought, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to say that, whether it's Googling it and finding out the pronunciation or whatever, however you have to look it up to do it.
Yeah. And, I really do give a lot of credit to my newsroom, and I give a lot of credit to my managers and our team, because I think we put a lot of effort into making sure that we said the names the right way, and we put a lot of effort into making sure that we did it the right way. I remember, I think the Asian community is so diverse. I don't speak Korean or Mandarin. And so when the names came down, I was like, oh man, I was like, okay, let me take some time to look over these names. And then AAJA released the video guide on how to say the names. And I listened to that, because I did say the names on air, and I listened to that, and I practiced. And I think if it wasn't for my managers and my team kind of having the confidence in me to do that and encouraging me to do that, I think it would have, I don't think I would have had as much confidence in myself to go on air and say the names. But it does take, just some practice and some care and some effort into making sure you do it.
Right. Well, and I think it's worth kind of mentioning you're of Hmong descent, correct?
Yes, I am.
And I think, and you and I talked last week about how I know what that means.
Yeah.
But I think if you would take just a second and just explain to our listeners what that what that community is.
Yeah, so I'm Hmong. It's spelled Hmong. We are an ethnicity. We're a people group from Southeast Asia, but we don't have a country. So most Hmong people, like my parents, are from Laos. So they're spread throughout like Laos, Thailand, some in Vietnam, still some like kind of in China, but not a whole lot. And so many of us came to the States, including my parents, during and after the Vietnam War, because our people fought alongside the United States. And so when the war was over, the United States brought a lot of us over, and that's how we ended up here. And so,
And somehow you ended up in Minnesota because that is so much climate similar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my dad actually ended up in Minnesota, but my mom's family ended up in California. So they actually met in the States, but they so that's how it is. So I have a lot of family on my mom's side in California, and then all of my dad's side is in Minnesota. But my dad had a host family in Minnesota, and so him and his family ended up there, and yeah, that was how it all went.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Minnesota kind of one of the largest or one of the largest Hmong populations centers in the U.S.?
Yeah. So I believe the Twin Cities has the largest like urban population of Hmong people. And so also California does as well. I'm not sure where these cities all rank, I guess, but Minneapolis and St. Paul, and then Sacramento, California, and Fresno, California. And there are quite a few in Wisconsin as well. So like Milwaukee area. Yeah.
All right. So I always like to educate people. So, and so that's our learnings for the day for everybody.
Right.
So, all right. So I know your general assignment. Are there certain stories that you're kind of percolating in the back of your head, thinking I'd like to do more stories around this? And you talked about kind of Asian community focused stories and politics, but is there anything in particular that you're working on that? And I know if you don't want to talk about specifics, because you don't want to give it away, right? But,
right.
Just kind of general story ideas and things that you think I'd really like to do more stories about this.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have anything brewing right now, and I'm not really working on anything right now that's on hold or anything. But I think one thing that I love about Atlanta since I've been here is just there's so much history in Atlanta, and even before I moved to Atlanta, so many of the things that I liked has either originated from here or has been influenced by this city. And so, I think one thing for me is eventually down the line, I'd love to work on something, whether it's something that's recurring or what, but something, either related to like the history of Atlanta or culture. Like away from news, I'm really not so much like a history buff, but history does interest me. So I think doing something like that down the line would be awesome. Just something about history and culture of the city. Whether it's food or music or entertainment or something like that would be really fun.
Maybe you and Jeff Hollinger can team up on the history thing.
That guy knows everything.
I know. He's got an
everything.
Encyclopedia of it. I mean, he's been on TV here since the early 90s. So anytime like a story breaks, you can throw him on the camera and throw him on the desk, and he just knows. I mean, one time I forgot what we were covering, and I was watching him and John Sherrick just go back and forth, like just off the cuff. And I was so impressed that I couldn't stop watching, because I'm like, man, these two, between the two of them, there is so much just Atlanta knowledge. John's awesome. I mean, you gotta drain that brain of whatever you can before he decides he wants to settle on a pasture somewhere.
Right.
He's awesome. I mean, he's so unassuming, but like you said, that guy's covered everything.
Yeah.
In town over the last 30 however many years he's been reporting. And Jeff is hilarious because he posts a lot on Facebook, a lot of interesting history stuff. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But this isn't about Jeff. This is about you. So Jeff can do his own spotlight. Anyway, so all right. So now the really hard question, which stumps a lot of my guests, is what's the coolest thing about you?
Oh man, the coolest thing about me. I guess I love sneakers. I'm a sneakerhead, so I have like a huge sneaker collection.
All right.
So I'm a really big Michael Jordan fan. And I'm a really big basketball fan, and so I love sneakers. I collect all kinds of sneakers. It's just something that I do. And some people don't know that, but when they see it, they're like, "Oh, like I would have never guessed that you, of all people, collect all these sneakers."
Do you have like a big display closet or something?
I have a display actually, like right in my living room. But I have to get like another shelf because that one's full. I keep a bunch of them like stored in the closet. So actually, my pantry, like half of it is just shoe boxes. All
right, you're gonna send me some pictures that I'm gonna insert. And I'm gonna do some voiceovers with some pictures. Did they put you on the big sneaker story this week? The little Nas story?
No, so it's funny because I actually brought that up during one of the editorial meetings, because I was like, we were talking about just pitching stories, and I was like, I'm not advocating this to be a reporter story, but I was like, I think we should at least, explore the possibility of putting this on social or digital, because, he's from this area, and, that sneaker story just blew up. And I was entertained like all day reading that story.
I think it was on air. I'm trying to remember if it was on maybe the 5 o'clock one day this week. I know I saw it. Somebody did something with it.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
But they didn't give it to the sneaker expert.
Right. That would have been fun. I
talk about using the expertise correctly, right?
Right.
I mean, come on.
You got to know the culture, man.
Yeah. I mean, you could have done, live shot from your place with the sneaker behind you. I mean, I have the whole vision there. I'm seeing it. Missed opportunities.
Right.
All right, so let's do the lightning round. So, last book that you read that you want to admit to.
Oh, actually, it's right there. I read uh, what is it called? It was just hold on, let me lean over and look.
Okay, all right.
It's that Trump book. Fire and Fury. The Fire and Fury. I read Fire and Fury.
Okay, all right. Favorite Atlanta restaurant?
Snack Box Bistro.
Ooh, where's that one?
It's actually in Doraville, but I just lump it all in. But yeah, I love it.
Okay, is that a particular kind of food?
It's Laotian food, and it's great. It's like tucked in like a little shopping center, right where is it Brandmart USA?
Yeah, yep.
It's like right over. It's in that little shopping center over there. But it's great. It's great.
All right, so tell me the name again. Snack Box.
Snack Box Bistro.
Snack Box Bistro. Okay, awesome. My wife and I are on a mission up and down Buford Highway, so we're always trying stuff. Okay, favorite guilty pleasure. Maybe that goes back to sneakers.
Favorite guilty pleasure. Oh man. I watch a lot of like trashy reality TV shows. That's one of them. Yeah.
My friend Rodney is should be your friend then.
Oh, Rodney. Yeah, Rodney's awesome.
All right. Favorite local getaway. Where do you go to get away from everything?
My favorite local getaway. Let's see. I guess I would say I go to the Croc Street Market a lot because I don't live too far. So my off days are totally random, like Thursday, Fridays, and so usually when I go, it's not busy, and I
that's perfect.
So I love it.
All right. Favorite non-work hobby.
Favorite non-work hobby.
Because you can't count work as a hobby.
You're right. Good. I mean, a lot
that's
of
just not good.
Do. My favorite non-work hobby. I guess. Well, in Atlanta, I walk the Beltline a lot because I don't live far. So I guess that's something I do a lot. It's very relaxing for me. So.
Very good, and you can do it when there's not a ton of people out there too. So
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Even better because I go biking there on the weekends, and
Yeah, and during the pandemic, it was just perfect because I was outside and there's not a lot of people around, so it's been great.
Cool. All right, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to mention about your work or the station or anything in particular? Talk about how great your news director is, anything like that. Anything you want to toss in like that. Feel free.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not really used to being like on this side.
This side of it. You didn't have your talking points already.
Right. I'm not usually used to being on this side, so I'm like trying to think, like, what,
That's good. We've covered a lot of ground here, so that's all good.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, listen, I appreciate your taking some time this evening. I'll let you enjoy your weekend now, and since it's a Wednesday night, right?
Yeah, it's Friday.
It's Friday. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday Friday. You need to have it used to be called like Wedding Fry or something, something like that. You need to. I'm sure you have like a whole group of people whose Friday is Wednesday, right? And you guys all.
I'm sure.
You guys all go out clubbing, right?
Well. Yeah. Back in the day, but when I moved here in December, and then by March, like everything shut down and we didn't go in the newsroom. So it's funny because I still have like a lot of coworkers who I haven't met. I get emails from people who I've like never met before, and I'll talk to people on the phone. But I haven't really met too many people from my station. And at the time, I was also working the 8 and 9 p.m. shows. So I came in a little bit earlier and I was already out the door by the time even all the night people got in. So I was kind of like in this weird between shifts.
So it's going to be all new. A couple of months when you guys are back in the station, like, hey.
It's going to be great. I am looking forward to that. I love working with my team, and I've really liked working with everyone that, I've been in touch with. So I'm looking forward to being like just back in the newsroom and being around everyone. Because, I think there is something that's like so priceless about being like in a newsroom. I think the collaboration is just, it's it's great. And I think the energy that you can kind of feed off of is just, it's priceless.
Yeah. You can get a lot done this way, but the being together and the back and forth. I mean, a big Zoom chat has some limitations in terms of brainstorming and conversation. It does make it challenging. All right. Well, thank you, Chenue. We've been talking with Chenue Her with 11Alive News. And join us next week and every week. Well, most every weeks, unless I'm camping, then I don't get these done. But otherwise, we'll see you next week for a 4 Questions Journalist Spotlight.
Cool. Thanks.